Thank you, and I just got one more thing to say. How about them Cowboys?
Recording live from 3 locations. This is Past the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men, Caesar, a.k.a. LC's.
Recently Carless, baby. Let's go.
And this week we return the great Jacob, a.k.a. Bethke.
Salute.
Feeling much better than your transmission right now, that's for sure.
That bar's very low.
All right. Well, guys, a lot of stuff going on this week. New Year's. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you guys had a fun and safe time with your friends and family. It was
Kobe year, too. Kobe year. You gotta...
Kobe year.
Yeah, it's 24, baby.
Oh. Yes.
We just we went from the Jordan year and upgraded to the Kobe year.
I'm Team Smush now, so
you're Smush Parker?
Yeah, that's my guy now.
Yeah, Smush is he's revitalized his image in an incredible way. And I'm impressed and happy for him too.
It's tough. It's tough when you gotta talk about someone who died a legend and you gotta be like, all right, guys, but maybe he was wrong about some stuff.
There was nothing he said that no one didn't know that actually cares and looks into that
That's
stuff.
fair
So
enough.
I think it's fine. It does bring it up, and like now it'll be a little hot button. But like, I think for the most part, he would say a thing that surprised me, man. I think honestly, that's what old Kobe was trying to tell the young kids, is to not be that big of an asshole. That he regretted that as much as anything.
That's fair.
But he was fucking super petty with Smush. Woo!
Well, it's a hot time in the NFL season heading into playoffs. We're gonna quicken our way on through. Before we get to that, though, all right, what's going on? What's the buzz? What's happening this week? The first thing that I wrote down is that me and Caesar broke the Pistons curse last week. So you're welcome, Detroit.
Congratulations.
I'm confused. Is the 28 game record originally one that spanned over 2 seasons, and this is the first one in one season?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
so it's their record, really. I don't count covering multiple seasons like that. If it's wins, I might, or if it's like the NFL and you lose like the Browns did, you know, and you're like 1-31 or whatever, I'll count that.
Okay.
Truly historic. I agree.
You have to not win.
Let me put it to you this way: if you're a baseball guy, did you count what's his name, Henry Rollins from the Phillies when he was going on a hit streak? It went across
No,
two.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Is it
Jimmy Rollins?
Jimmy Rollins.
Henry Rollins is a guy
Henry Rollins doesn't
who
feel right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he is a skinhead, but he definitely looks like someone who would play one in a thing.
Yeah, no, he has played one, I think, but I think it's in tongue in cheek because he is kind of a nice dude. But every time
He's an
you see
interesting.
him, you're like,
he is an interesting guy. He always his act is angry. So
yeah, I mean,
okay,
that is the sound. Not my favorite punk band of all time, but very highly regarded.
yeah, I only actually know of him like doing stuff on TV. I'm sure that his music was
a lot
probably
of
more
people
popular
did.
than that at one point. But
It's the Joe Budden of rock and roll.
but yeah, well,
What's his pump it up?
He actually had more than just Pump It Up, so at least he has that. The Black Flag was pretty good for a while there, and they're very influential.
oh yeah, okay. I didn't realize that was his band. I've never listened to
They're just
them,
not
but I've heard of them.
big. They're just not like that mainstream, I guess.
Yeah.
Even for me, I'm more of a pop punk guy in reality. I know that, but it's too heavy for me, I guess, in Black Flag.
Fair enough. Well, then we'll end Pistons talk there and move on to
Hey, let a new losing streak begin, man. What are you talking about? They just started another one. You got
I know.
Rockets,
I need them. I need them to keep doing this because they're not going to get the first pick anyways, probably. So just keep losing, and then maybe the Spurs can grab it.
And watch them just not get the first pick again.
The Spurs might get another first pick, but not have to lose like 80 games. But realistically, though, it looks like the Pistons are going to be the worst team of all time. So.
Well,
unless something
here's
changes.
what they're about to have to do, right?
And they're probably not going to get anything for it.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll see what the Angel of Stern has to say about that. They've got the Jazz, the Warriors, the Nuggies, the Kings, and then that's all before a powerhouse showdown with the Los Spurs. I believe that is in Detroit. So, big powerhouse. My hope is that they're both into losing streaks by the time we get to them. I just think that would be a fun thing. But you could argue this was great for ratings, regular season ratings. People were in on the Pistons.
Hilarious that they beat the one Canadian team. And we'll move on from that.
Raptors are so consistently the butt of the joke, though.
Two, we had the NHL Outdoor Winter Classic in Washington this time around, the state of Washington. We saw people throwing fish to each other as the players walked through them.
In a synchronized form.
Hell yeah.
Perfect synchronized form.
It looked pretty cool. We had some
That was impressive.
We had some interesting stuff, but our entrance wasn't that cool. Our team had to walk a really long way, and it looked really awkward, especially when Corey Perry got ejected like 6 minutes in, had to walk away by himself down that long red carpet.
Awesome.
It would have been funny if he had fish being thrown over him at that point. But I don't.
What's our equivalent? We're just throwing barbecue meat.
Yeah, I don't know, because I know they did like pig roping and stuff, like on the sideline, like in the extra space on the field. They were doing like mini rodeo events. So
why are we all stereotypes?
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
I know they're trying to cling on. You're gonna
show someone just stuck in traffic for 2 hours a day.
No, this is what you got to do. It's the Dallas Stars, right?
That was painfully real, though.
What is Dallas other than just one giant fucking strip mall?
You throw coke at each other.
Some other arguments. What if they should just import snow and have
they could do a fake vintage Harry Hines.
Yes. Oh. Hey, man.
Oh, I'm so glad that this place is getting better because I live way too close to Harry Hines now. But thankfully,
I live on Harry Hines.
I said vintage. Yeah, it's not what it used. It's not what it used to be.
Yeah, like on the way to drop off my car or like to check on my car, I saw at least 6 or 7 of those ladies just on the street. I'm like, all right, someone's gonna have a Happy New Year, don't they?
They got to be somewhere.
They got to go hit up that Post Malone. That Post Malone Raising
Canes.
Oh my! That's a little bit further down. I don't know if they want to make that walk.
It's so. I just saw it from the highway the other day. I was stunned. I hadn't seen it from the highway yet, and it was just absurd.
Dude, every time I drive by it, it's so packed, and I don't get it. I'm like, listen.
I mean, Canes is always packed either way.
I'm going to drive over there just to go through that stupid star at least once. That's right. That's fair. I have a Raising Cane's right across the street. I'm still going to drive over there just to do that.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, if it was a giant purple Viking,
yes, I would. You're absolutely correct. I would. Zero question. Honestly, it could be. There are a few other teams that I would do something like that for, even though they're not my favorite teams. It'd be funny if there was just a giant Gritty for some reason just hanging out. Rowdy, I would not. I don't think I could go see Rowdy. I'm too afraid.
It was Rowdy. That's what you wanted.
Too afraid of like a Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's. You mean just Rowdy's face? Five Nights at Freddy's or like a Rowdy coming to life type thing. I don't need that.
You're just trapped in AT&T Stadium with an evil Rowdy.
Oh God. It's and then of course it's some kind of Saw level thing where Jerry's obviously involved.
Yeah, can we rent out like on the cheapest day? Can we just rent out AT&T Stadium to film a fan movie? Would Jerry do that for the tax credit?
To fill what?
Film a fan movie
inspired
by this idea. Where
Can you imagine the cost? to rent that place out for any amount of
5
time.
nights charity though. It's for a student film. We'll partner with UNT. You know, I'm alumnus. You know, we have the Green Light to Greatness partnership. Come on, we can pull this off. Well, fanfic movie. It's just rowdy, but it's just like Five Nights at Freddy's, but rowdy.
Terrifying. We'll have to include that armadillo that's in all those ads with Rowdy for the sponsorship.
Oh, yeah. It'll be Rowdy and Friends. You know, there might be multiple versions of Rowdy and Friends.
Maybe Mavrelo Bolovich, Mark Cuban can bring that back.
Oh, we have to get Mark.
Short-lived bit. With that, we'll go to the last little bit here. I don't know if y'all know that they played the college football playoff semifinal games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That Texas-Washington one was a good one.
Yeah. So
which I was saying should have been a national title game.
Guess that's where we're starting. Washington beats Texas 37-31. It was tough to watch in some parts. The team
first half though. That first half was something else.
The team just played some poor fundamental football in terms of penalties and fumbles and just a lot of small stuff. And you know it adds up when you're not that much better than your opponent. And I'm not sure that they are even. I think they're overall a better team on their best day, but they're not. They're not on their best day a lot. So.
Yeah, I think on that game, man, we just saw like the team with the better quarterback won, and Michael Penix. Like, if you didn't know who Michael Penix was before this game, because nobody wants to stay up late to watch Pac-12 football, you missed out on somebody who honestly probably should have won the Heisman based on like the following criteria. Which one, he put up great numbers for an undefeated number 2 team against tougher competition than what Jaden Daniels did at LSU. Because you can look at LSU, like, hey, they played Grambling State and like Georgia State, I think, and he put up 11 touchdowns.
He's got to do 2 cupcakes a year.
Yeah, they got to do the 2 cupcakes a year, and like, granted, those numbers were impressive. The highlight tape's impressive. Michael Penix, man, he's just a baller. He balled out on the second biggest stage of the college football season.
Yeah,
and he's probably going to ball out against Michigan.
A lot of times these quarterbacks in college that were like, man, this guy's really good. It's just because they can throw really far or really fast. But some of those throws that night were just so precision in such perfect spots. Hopefully he goes to a good team. I'm thinking maybe Minnesota. I don't know. We'll see how he ends up.
Too, though, right? That's his biggest issue.
Yeah. So
he's
from both of his legs.
To follow up on what you're saying, Becky, he had 2 ACL surgeries on both knees. Yeah, and he's going to be an older prospect. So he is going to fall
in the modern NFL, though.
That gets you starting right away because he's just older and smarter than everyone else coming out.
I think the knees are definitely the thing.
Which you see that he's older and smarter by watching him play. That he's up there.
Venus is the biggest steal of the draft, and we all know it because of the injuries.
The Big Fiend, he's going to Minnesota, man. He's going to keep repping up the purple. Big Purple Fiend.
Or New England.
You're trying to get some penis, aren't you?
I would love to let him continue wearing purple and just switch out the logo a little bit. There's other stuff, obviously, to talk about with that game. There's so much that happened. It was nice that both semifinal games were interesting, pretty much down the wire. Obviously, Texas is pretty much lost. And then Washington's doing some weird running bit instead of, I guess they're trying to get a first down. Don't know why they were playing around with that game, but their running back gets hurt, so he stops the clock because of some dumb rule that just keeps them from winning the game. Basically, I don't know. That was pretty crazy. I don't think I've ever seen something like that happen where a team's obviously lost and then an injury to the other team putting the game away opens the door.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to talk about. I think one guy in particular is going to carry a lot of the weight. But I do want to say before I get into that and really dive into that subject that I was really disappointed with the pass protection as a whole. I want to put that on all 3 parts of that, right? The offensive line, the coaches, obviously, and unfortunately, the man we're going to talk a lot about, Mr. Quinn Ewers. None of these people came together to make a cohesive thing that could have won them this game multiple times, including that ending that they didn't deserve but got anyway. The multiple plays that he had, the overthrows were unfortunately abundant, and it was something.
And
that
I mean,
think,
to be fair, there are drops, there are fumbles, there are other things that are out of his control along the way.
I respect that, and I'm not putting it all on him. I really am not. I don't want it to sound like that. But unfortunately, a lot of my theory on Texas this year was this team is awesome. I like everything about it. I know it's not perfect all around, but I love this team to win a title if Quinn Ewers can make the throws, make complete in this consistently this whole year. He couldn't consistently make the plays that were there, make the throws that were there, save his ass enough. And I don't blame him all, right? I don't blame him for it in 100% of the way, because I think that a lot of Texas fans will probably play the what if Jonathan Brooks game was, the what if he was healthy game, right? And I hear that because then you can control the ball better. But the running game was fine.
Yeah, the running game was fine until they fumbled twice. So what are you gonna?
Right, exactly. And maybe he doesn't fumble. You know, the revisionist history can be.
That's not going to play for anyone who watched that game, at least.
What I would ask you guys is this a babysitter offense that's hiding him, or babying him and not allowing him to be consistent when he needs to be?
I think it's the first one rather than the second one. He's just so inconsistent, and I think that's. A lot of that is going to affect the offense and the offensive game planning, because if you are an inconsistent thrower of the football, which he is, because when he is on, man, he makes some spectacular throws. You're just like, yeah, I can see it. This guy has a future at the next level. Maybe not like, a long-term starter, but like he's definitely NFL material, at least what he brings physically. But he just can't seem to put it all together across a large stretch of not just a season, but from down to down, quarter to quarter, game to game. Like that's part of the reason why I was kind of hoping he would have like this magical hot streak, because he's a streaky guy, to end the season, and then he would declare for the draft, and then we could see what Arch Manning brings. But it's
might
not
still
happening.
declare for the draft, honestly, but we can get to that.
Or transfer, because
I just don't doubt.
I don't think he's
both those ends, man.
I don't think he's starting at Texas next year. So if he wants to stay there,
you're throwing it that hard on them.
I mean, if they feel that if they,
either,
well, I mean, we haven't seen him really. I mean,
yeah, but it just makes me question a little bit.
They see him a lot more than we do. So I'm just thinking if he's close enough to where they think he's at least where Ewers is at.
Throw away a title run though, like because I think that's the risk.
Well,
you're going to do a development year with Manning potentially.
My thinking is if he's on par with Ewers in practice at this point, then maybe you just say, okay, well that's the improvement we need because this guy will continue to get better. But I don't know.
They'll hedge their bet and try to run it back, and then
and that's fair. I mean, he's got no problem sitting around making money to be a backup.
Could end badly though.
Do we know how many? Yeah. Do we know how many people or how many starters Texas is probably going to lose?
No, I haven't looked into any of that.
3 receivers, right? With Sanders, Worthy, and Mitchell, all 3. That's a big deal, I think. That's probably Brooks. Brooks will definitely go right?
See, if that's happening, I just say you might as well just go ahead and start the Manning era if that's happening, because
you got Byron Murphy.
If you're having that much,
it's definitely going.
If you have that much turnover, you
still have the elite linebacker,
non-existent next season.
Hill. You'll have the second year of Hill, which will be cool because he was really good as a Frosh. I think true Frosh, maybe Richard.
There were 23 total seniors honored before the last home game.
That's a decent jump.
Yeah,
but how many starters?
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
Even rotation players are important because Texas has nice rotation depth on the D line.
Not the easiest list to find. Whittington.
Whittington, that makes sense. That's unfortunate. Whittington really had that moment in that game. I would have been happy if they ended up winning.
The center, Jake Majors, right tackle, Christian Jones, generic offensive lineman, Sawyer Gorham-Welch.
Maybe Quinn just declares,
Bayouth,
if I'm Quinn Ewers, I'm not necessarily worried about declaring
and Paxton Anderson.
being a backup. maybe potentially someone talking themselves into, first round, second round pick territory as a potential starter.
But anyways,
Donnie Mitchell, he's a
I mean, he has the measurables. He has nice stats. He's I think that there's some NFL teams that would convince themselves in the mid rounds that he's exactly who they want.
Sure, and maybe and for most most pro quarterbacks weren't elite in college anyways. They got better when they got older. So who knows?
Well, we'll see. Yeah. It will be interesting to see the pressure of Arch Manning.
I was hoping Colt McCoy would be one of those, but he got pretty good in the NFL, but not quite good enough to be a starter.
We could argue concussion and the Browns' idiocracy that they were in the middle of was in his way.
Wasn't Colt McCoy a victim of the Vontae Perfect concussion hits?
He probably was at one point.
Could have been. I'm not sure.
I don't know if that was the first one though. It might have been that one. Yeah, it's the first. The Brown, and it was the year he took over as starter.
It might have been the big one.
And then I think that was
his first
us, and then it was just all kind of whatever from there.
Well, from there. That's another sad Texas memory I didn't need brought up, but we'll go from that to the other games. It's also worth mentioning. It was fun to watch. I don't know how much of this y'all caught. Michigan beat Alabama 27-20.
Oh, yeah, I watched it for sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I was not interested in watching Michigan football at all. They're just play a boring brand of football.
That's fair.
I agree with you.
I agree
with you, and I think that's why they're about to win a national championship.
Maybe. I don't think so. I've got a 3-screen setup, so if there's sports on when I'm at home, there's probably something being watched at least half-heartedly.
I don't think they got the horses to hang with Washington, man.
No, it does feel like Texas-Washington might have been the title game, especially whenever I was watching Michigan and Alabama. Neither one of those teams impressed me a whole lot. Now,
the team with the better quarterback's going to win this one.
Some people I do respect
JJ McCarthy's mid.
Have feelings like Jacob do about Michigan's a really strong team, so I might be wrong based off who I'm talking to.
In a sturdier defense, I know they're going to get challenged in a different way, but they have the dogs to do exactly what they need to do for Penix too. And that's where I think that, I don't know if they've experienced enough of it because they haven't had an elite rival in the Big Ten this year, right? I think even Ohio State was sort of meh because their quarterback ended up pissed to bed in that game. So I know they haven't been tested appropriately, but I think if you look at just the sheer NFL talent, the consistency of what they've done, even the way they were able to bottleneck Alabama for the most part, even though I'm aware Alabama fucked themselves a few times with the center. But at the end of the day, I think the Michigan defense won the eye test for the whole weekend. I think even if Texas wins, I'm still very worried about Michigan controlling the ball and having all the elite level athletes on defense to control the game defense.
Maybe I just don't think they score enough, and Washington's gonna hit a couple of big plays no matter what you do all game. They're gonna hit a couple. It's college, so that's where I just think they're gonna be able to shoot them. Go ahead, Caesar.
And another thing about that though is about the defense. I just think Michael Penix will just be the difference maker when he throws, because when you see him throw the ball, he legitimately never puts the ball in a spot where the defense has a chance to make a play on it.
He's great.
He understands leverage.
What's the receiver's name? What's the receiver's name?
Because Odzune.
That kid's a better prospect than Penis, but Penis is great too. No, don't want to take not being shady there.
He looked pretty impressive a few times.
Patrick, clip that. Clip what he just said.
Also, I hope I don't get us flagged for saying Penis this much.
We'll be fine.
Rome. Rome.
I could edit it out, but I'm not going to.
Odunze? I think that's what he said.
But yeah, sure. Dallas Cowboy. That's it. Make it happen.
Probably,
I don't know how it's going to happen. Please, can it happen?
Yeah. Just don't get any secondary. Don't get any.
No, I know. Allow me to be Jerry Jones for a moment. There was one that Phoenix keeps getting a lot of credit for, but the receiver literally is just trucking, and he's just yo, this isn't a big deal. Oh shit, there's a ball. My hands are still down here. Oh, the ball's there. Got it. It was just the fact that this dude was just burning that guy running that route so cozy, knows the ball's coming, not worried about turning his body. See, that's not even, he's not tripping. He's like, oh, it's here. Grabbed it. Got it. Let's go. I was like, no. All pro. That's an all pro. I said before, as long as he's not a fuckboy, that's an all pro. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Normal humans don't do shit like that. I was like, no.
Yeah, he's probably going to be the second receiver taken in the draft.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Behind
and
Marvin.
It's fair that he's second because the other guy.
Yeah, because the other guy. But
How much that's just name,
He
yeah.
has a huge game. If he doesn't have if he has a huge game in this title game, he might be the first receiver taken because their size is comparable. Rome is an inch shorter than Marvin Harrison, but he's also bigger. Like he's just a more physical looking receiver. So there's that. But back to like the whole like matchup thing. I just don't think Michigan can handle the spread offense or not the spread offense. How many different weapons Washington can throw at them? Because outside of Rome and Jalen Polk, I mean, they still have other guys who have contributed. Jalen McMillan, Jeremy Bernard, Jack Westover, the tight end. They have a lot of weapons up and down the roster that they can challenge Michigan with. I just don't think Michigan has seen enough tough competition outside of the Big Ten that just makes me feel like they are going to win. Because I don't think Alabama was like a real title contender. Just like there's just too much hampering that team. Like I think this is Nick Saban's best coaching job because he took honestly what feels like an inferior Alabama team to a spot they shouldn't have been in, but they managed to get their way in there. So
honestly,
credit to them.
Alabama would have won the title this year had their offensive coordinator actually not been just some hillbilly that spent too much time in the South. Because hearing some of his quotes about his own quarterback with the prospect that he was, I was just like, bro, like I understand. I know it's SEC football. I get it, dude. I'm not an idiot that doesn't live around people like this. But that shit was incredible, bro. And we're not going to go all Reese Davis here and talk about the brand. But I was stunned by those comments more than the thing that went viral on the first day of the year. I was stunned by Bill O'Brien's admitted racism and cloaked racism. It was very impressive that he actually put those words on wax. So look those up, children.
It's not surprising when you look back at the early start of his Texans coaching career and how reluctant he was to put Deshaun Watson out there.
Bill O'Brien, Texas A&M head coach, win.
He can work with Dion. They've got
28.
their recruiting profiling down pat.
Right now, Bill O'Brien is really busy, just absolutely doing a shitty job as the offense coordinator for the Patriots. So, you know.
Well, I mean, in his defense, what's he working with over there, man? What is that team? I saw. We'll get to this, and I don't want to forget this. I saw a stat that said they haven't re-signed a first-round draft pick from the first 3 rounds since 2013. So they haven't re-signed someone from the first 3 rounds since 2013. That is a decade. That is bad. All right.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, he's still unimaginative.
So
that's why Tommy Terrific was out, bro.
So that's Michigan, Alabama talk. It sounds like Jacob's taking Michigan. Jacob's taking Michigan. Me and Caesar are probably taking Washington. What were you gonna do?
I just want to show you what ESPN says is some of these things because it doesn't quite make sense. Naturally, Michigan's getting favored 3.5. I think, right?
Yeah. Well, I saw 4.5 when it opened, but 3.5 is reasonable too.
But that makes sense. That's not a big deal. What I am questioning is how you would have Michigan winning, but the total right now for over/under that ESPN said was 55.5. That doesn't feel like math. That feels like Michigan doesn't win the game. You're scoring 60 points total.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are probably going to have to hit 30 at that point. And
just, I don't know much about.
If it's
I just saw those numbers and my brain was like, that's not.
Yeah, I don't see Michigan winning a shootout with Washington. If they win the game, it's because it's ball control. It is ugly Big Ten football. Is how Michigan wins that game.
That's the only one.
That's the only one.
No stops.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Hey, because guess what? They can't suspend you when you're in the NFL, baby. Let's Go Wolves.
Whatever. He's getting
Wait, what is their thing?
Yeah, there are Wolverines. He's getting a lifelong contract there, so he's never leaving.
Maybe.
Well,
If it brings him a title,
if the sanctions comes down, if the sanctions come down, I know what the man's a business time.
I think the writing's on the wall. The NCAA is about to have nothing to do with football for a while. We'll see though. We'll go ahead and we'll leave that talk for off-season stuff. And we'll go ahead and transition on. I'm gonna pass this rock on to Bethke to hit us for some hoopla.
Just a touch. We haven't talked about our Mavericks, our Spurs, these two lonely teams. The Rockets wedged in between you guys that we just ignore altogether, but it's right here. It's the Mavs. Right here, it's the Rockets, and then it's like right here at the Spurs. But it's all right. It's this right here. This is the last time Spurs would be like this for a while. Just believe that. Maybe, probably. We'll start with the Mavs. That's what we do. We don't have a lot to go with here, so I'm going to essentially just give you guys a little bit of optionality on whether you want to go deep dive into this. Otherwise, I can just give you a quick status update on both teams. So the first one for the Mavs is there's just one little topic. Kyrie Irving, Utah Jazz game. Something kind of notable happened. Do you guys feel like that's a topic notable? If you both are aware of the situation, I think it's going to be probably fairly national.
Is it all confirmed and stuff? Like he was involved and okay, yeah. Go. I mean, we could talk about it. I don't have a whole lot to say on it, but
so we'll give you the facts of the situation and the reaction. You guys can do as you please. So Kyrie Irving was essentially responsible for kicking a few rabbis out of a Utah Jazz game for having signs in a pro-Israel, or I'm Jewish and I'm proud, essentially is what it said.
Yeah, that's a distinction, right? I think.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless the signs have like sponsorship or something else beyond what those words.
I think
those are the only words that I saw.
That's the only thing you could read. There was some smaller print, but there's the only thing you could read. One important bit of news here, or piece that needs to be understood to tell the full story. The Salt Lake Tribune was able to quickly get a story out that I thought shed a little bit more full circle light in why I don't know that I'm going to pick a side here. Now, I'll help Adam Silver in the league right here by telling you that the official NBA policy is to, work with the players anytime conduct detrimental or any sort of that stuff happens. And especially in Utah, we all remember Russell Westbrook having that issue specifically right now. And then that came out and then a bunch of people started talking about it, but we all saw the Russell Westbrook thing happen. In reality, they had to kick those people out, all that good shit. We remember there was a lady who told LeBron James that Bronny
was the Russell Westbrook thing when did someone throw popcorn on him? Is that game? Is that someone else that I'm thinking of?
No, I don't think that was Russ. It was just Russ had got called something, and then he was just going back and forth with the fan, and then everyone inquired, and we found out what was said, and they were able to prove it, and then they were banished or whatever. And then that rule really took a new meaning after that because those people did go too far. And then we did have this incident where I think it was Indiana that LeBron a couple years back had some fans courtside kicked out, and everyone was like, "Oh, LeBron's being a dick," but then it came to find out that they had said they had hoped Bronny would die or something. Which, that didn't age well specifically. Of course, that happened before all the heart stuff, but it was just crazy that, people had gotten to that point. And obviously, I've talked about it here. European soccer has a nasty reputation for how fans act. The European basketball is probably not far away from it because they get rowdy as fuck too. But ultimately, we don't want to have that shit happening here, so they're extra cautious. The other part of the story that the Salt Lake Tribune said, to long story short there, the rabbi is a season ticket holder. The rabbi does not come to every game. That's not necessarily abnormal of season ticket holders if you understand how that works. People resell stuff and it's, helps you pay for your own tickets, essentially, whatever. That man did admit that he brought those because Kyrie Irving was going to be in attendance. So I think given that, it makes me not feel as much just like the LeBron thing, where all we had at first was the evidence that LeBron just kicked these people out, with his power. And it came to reality that they actually did something worthy to get kicked out of. This one's a little less severe, obviously.
Yeah, but it does it feels like it takes away when your intention wasn't the message; it was to give the message to someone else
It was to be
specifically.
insightful.
Yeah,
That's how I was kind of looking at it.
That's fair
I was
enough.
like, well, you know, if you did it intentionally, you did it intentionally. So I just
no, I don't know
think it's
if they
gonna-
gave him the chance to like put the signs away or anything like that. That'd be nice to know, but
Yeah, actually, I kind of forgot what they were
I would
think
assume
that
they would
did.
say no because
I think that they did, and they just objected and they asked them to leave or something. But I don't believe this is something that's going to actually cost those ticket holders their seats or anything.
no,
Like, it's not a big deal.
It got a little bit of buzz, a little bit more than him wearing that scarf, but
Right. Well, yeah, and I mean that's where Kyrie's point is, and then of course you can get into some other belief systems that Kyrie has that maybe also come into play with that. So that was we know based off that video, and we don't have to reiterate the Kyrie Irving story when it comes to that. So anyway, I just wanted to say the full story there. If you guys have any other opinion on that. I mean, the important story was that they got fucking shithoused by the Jazz.
Yeah, that's more. That's more my concern about what happened in Utah. I was like, wow, didn't you just blow this team out by 50 points, and now they are returning the favor, kicking the shit out of you? This is not a good Utah team.
It is a healthy Utah team in aspect to they started the season very unhealthy. So that is a bit of a caveat.
No.
This is probably the healthiest and the best the Jazz have played all season as a whole. So it isn't the worst thing, but it's very disappointing because essentially the Mavericks have just a great opportunity, right? And they had already started slipping. Not a big deal. Kyrie wasn't playing. Luka and Lively got banged up. They're 7th in the West, 19-15 record. You have that awful blowout loss. But if you win that game, you have a back-to-back against Portland here. Then you have Minnesota Timberwolves, but they're here. And then you have Memphis, who's better now. They've got Ja back. It's better, but they're still looking like they're thin, right? So you really could have been walking into the easiest, like 4 out of 5 situation, jump yourself back into the top 4 or whatever, and then you just kind of put a wet fart out. And it's like, would you go do parties too hard in Utah on a Sunday night? It was the turn of the year, so I don't know. Maybe
what else are you gonna do in Utah?
That's fair, actually.
Although I don't know. Yeah, is it a dry state? I couldn't really tell you.
They had to throw their own party. They just rented a fucking room at like the hotel and just party or something.
Their bus gets pulled over with bottles of Jack Daniels. Going to jail like rappers bringing assault weapons on the tour bus to New York.
That's the old NBA. That's
sorry,
I
shouldn't have said assault weapons. They're just probably just rifles.
There's plenty of armed security now for teams. I think that they specifically make sure the players.
I don't know. Apparently, some people bring freaking laser sights. And speaking of,
yeah, right, yeah, that one. Yep, that one is still.
That sounds like
do you want to believe
a forever league legend that will never get solved, like Jordan gambling and all that.
Oh no, we know Jordan gambling.
Well, I mean, as far as him, yeah, that.
I think we feel pretty confident he can get suspended for it. Actually, is what I would say. I don't know if I'm 100% sure. I think I feel pretty confident, so I'll rest on that forever. Like I feel 99% confident, but that 1% is the strongest 1% it could ever be. That only gets weird because they also blamed him for his dad dying and shit. So that's why it gets weird.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
But that's enough on the Mavericks. Unless you guys have caught any games, saw anything, have any trade rumors or requests or any thoughts.
Was that Cavs game in the last week?
Oh,
Saw the last 2 minutes of that. That was pretty rough.
They did choke a game to a starless Cleveland Cavalier team, and Luka looked like he was about to rip his own fucking heart out of his chest.
Yeah, I only saw the last 2 minutes, so obviously I was missing a lot of
that.
context. But they just started running. They started running that Luka ISO, and I'm just like, why is this the plan?
Essentially, the Cavs literally had none of their stars. Jared Allen was the predominant star of the team at this moment.
Yeah, he was playing well.
And because I think they didn't have Lively at the game as well, so then it was just as Shaquille O'Neal likes to say, barbecue chicken alert, barbecue chicken alert.
I hate watching the stand around basketball on offense. It kills me.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of having the optionality they've given
I can kind of understand if
you're
you're running like a 6-second left set play type thing, but when there's 2 minutes left in a game and you're like down 4 and you just got a guy just stuck in the corner for the entire shot clock, it feels like a waste of time and space. But
that's been the nice part about this Mavs team is they get out of that more than they do. But then I think the notable
personnel
issue here
personnel's
is
going to
they
matter.
fall back into it, especially Luka falls back into it when he doesn't. I think he gets down on them, and then it becomes back to Luke. It goes reverting again. I think that's the issue. Is his confidence in his teammates is still struggling. I think he needs to understand his body language. He needs to understand all these other little nuances. Just they do affect the game, and I don't know how to explain it any better. People think it's bullshit, but it's just not. Like,
yeah, I'm worried he's stuck in like a Steve Nash, Charles Barkley type career of he's gonna be really good for a long time. It doesn't look. I don't know. It never feels like he's
young,
It never feels like he's running the team.
Chuck ate himself out of contention after he realized he couldn't beat Michael, and I'm dead ass serious. Everyone will tell you that.
And I mean, at a point when the league's just getting more and more fit, just in general, top to bottom, like it's a bad time to start losing a step.
Yeah. And then Nash is just unfortunate. I mean,
timing.
maybe 07 goes differently
Luck
in
and
a
timing.
different world, but yeah, that team just was unfortunate. Built too centered around offense.
There are others. Those are just the first 2 I thought of. I don't only pick Phoenix Suns for my tragic never win people.
Well, you were the one who, the Suns fans
benefited from that
particularly
one.
hate the Spurs because of 2007.
That's too bad.
That'll forever be hate. But you know who hates the Spurs more than that? To segue? Steven Jackson. Because he brought it back up again. I know you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, you're good. I'm still going to brush it off, but you're good to go ahead and talk about it.
I completely get it. He, of course, because of what other reason did he bring it up that LaMarcus Aldridge is on the show? So at least he has some reason. At least it wasn't completely out of the blue. And LaMarcus Aldridge had one funny factoid that I wanted your opinion on, because I know how you feel about Stack Jack and his relentless anti-Spurs campaign. He said that Kawhi wanted to leave because he just wanted to hoop. And he got
I think I saw this. He got trying to get him to like read books and learn about wars.
Books and learn about the globe.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Pop does some of that, but I also don't feel like he would ever put it on you where like you have to. I don't feel like that's something where he'd be like, you have to do this. I feel like that'd be like, here's something I found, you might like this. I feel like that's how you leave it. But if Kawhi interprets that as he gave it to me, I have to do it, you can't necessarily fault him for being immature at 24 years old or whatever.
So we don't have enough context to prove yes or no yet, because a lot of the Spurs haven't written their tell-all books, and Pop likes to keep the ship pretty tight. So
if I learn anything from Last Dance, we're never going to learn anything about anybody. So.
Well, some of that's why I do think the books are good, because there'll be so many written that you can take them and then you can just piece together like a normal logical reality and all through all the fluff. And I think that's what will happen eventually. Phil Jackson is a perfect example. That's why I brought it up. Phil Jackson has written 5 books, has had people write at least 6 more about him. All of his Lakers teams have been covered in their own books. So he's a very well-documented human being. He used to do the book thing. Michael would brush it off. Kobe would brush it off. Shaq would brush it off. No problem.
I assume Belichick does it. I would assume Bill Parcells. Jimmy Johnson might even do it for some guys. He might not do it for everybody. That's a big roster.
I don't think that was what Jimmy's MO was. I think
they were.
I'll let you guys do whatever the fuck you want as long as you perform.
I could see him at least looking towards certain leaders that are less criminally involved to be like, hey, can you guys learn some stuff to help me out there?
Troy, what do you got for me?
I didn't want to just say the Wyatt players, but I don't know the roster. I don't know the roster well enough.
Daryl Johnston, what you got for me?
But yeah, and I mean, I've had teachers and bosses and stuff that have given me things like that to read, and I don't always do it, and sometimes I do, but I've never. Yeah, I don't know what the situation is. I can't imagine it's like you will memorize and list out the nations and capitals of Africa, of Asia.
Like bonding. You also have to remember, I think some of these guys have to be actually raised in the National Basketball Association because that's how young they get them. So I think there's some responsibility these coaches feel for like
And,
raising
yeah, I
men,
mean, Pop's
and then you get into a different philosophy, and Pop is a big advocate for that.
Pop's
So that's where it probably.
he's a military guy, so he kind of is grown up on structure. So part of his idea of helping these guys is to instill a little more structure than they're probably going to give themselves at any point, and that's fair.
And what we know about Kawhi Leonard is he just wants to hoop.
And yeah,
If he
and
can. If
and
he
also
can.
who knows how much of that was really, he might have once said, I hate when he makes me read this stuff, but that'd be enough for someone to bring it to a podcast and be like, he hated it.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of Marcus Aldridge in the media to know his angle and like if he's going to be an honest dude or if he's trying to be a little bit more flagrant. But I give him the benefit of that a little bit, and it also does sort of track with what we know. But again, it's not a negative on the Spurs. It's just like, hey, the reality is Kawhi clearly wasn't.
There was
right
two
for the
vibes,
culture.
two vibes that weren't working, which sucks. But
That's what I want. It's closure
Happy-
for fans to
happy
whatever
we-
extent you can
happy
get.
we got our ring with him, and I've been over it for a while. I mean, it just sucks. It's unfortunate, but
And the best way about closure is moving forward. And moving forward means having your best player, your superstar freak alien, get dunked on by other superstars and be notable.
it's fine.
So Ja Morant was able to catch the infamous body that the internet had been calling for. I don't believe he was the first to poster Wemby at all.
No, and he won't be the last. I mean, the dude
but-
The dude actually tries to block things, so
Yeah,
you're
it's
gonna get
good things.
posterized. I'm fine.
Very positive thing. But the internet everyone, once Wemby was drafted, everyone was so excited. Who's going to be the first one? Who's going to get the best one off? And Ja was the immediate answer because he was, he's just so reckless and chaotic and athletic. And of course he got him. It really wasn't even that great of a poster. Like it was not anywhere near those just legendarily disrespectful 90s posters. It was actually a really smooth one. I think Wemby even was like, he called him very, very small, which I just in cracking up. Ja Morant's probably like my size or like a little taller. And then he described basically what Ja Morant has done to people since he got to the league is he has a level of athleticism that isn't of this world. It is what makes him one of those superhumans that can be perennially all-star or whatever. It's just he does things that other humans can't.
It's the only way you get away with being Ja Morant.
Yeah, well, for a little bit. Ask Mike Vick. It doesn't buy you everything. You know what I mean? So you got to get.
Hey, he got a key to the city of Dallas, so
You got to rein it in.
That's a weird. I forgot that happened.
That's an amazing fact, actually. Either way, Spurs are 5-28, 15th in the West. Awesome. They're on a 3-game losing streak right now.
Who did we beat? It wasn't the Bucks. It was
No, you guys got Portland.
Portland. Yeah.
Only
Another
3
bad
games
team.
right now, but you got Milwaukee on national TV again because we just can't get enough of this shitty Spurs team on national TV. Wemby's just getting trotted out there, which we need to talk about eventually. I'm not sure that any other like rookie first round pick, even LeBron, got this much national TV the first year.
Only because there weren't
did.
this many. Well, for LeBron, there weren't this many options to show him on TV. But he absolutely would have. I mean, he was on everything. They were showing his high school games on ESPN.
I think if the NBA rights wouldn't have been in such a bad place when he got drafted, you're probably
and the internet streaming blowing up. Every network now has their own stream. It's all crazy now.
I mean, I really think people underestimate Paolo. I mean, look at these last few first round picks that just they're it's like, oh, they're nice. We'll see them every now and again, but they're like, no, Wemby.
Well, it's also it's the international.
Yeah, no, it's a marketing strategy. The NBA definitely was intentional with this one.
Trying to keep France. It's been a while.
Yeah. It will be a mainstay. They're probably our closest rival if Canada can't quite put some shit together. Although I guess Canada has kind of arrived because SGA is a dog. But that's all the basketball we're going to get into. We've got a lot of football to talk about.
All right,
And there's a lot of basketball we played. There's a lot of rosters to change over. But
we'll go ahead and wrap up what will be part 1, and we'll be back to you guys in just so many seconds. Basically, whenever you click on the other one, that's when we'll be back to you with football. Unless you guys have anything else to say right now.
No, sir.
Fair enough. I want to hit one sounder just to give me help.
Just pass the rock.
All right. How do I stop this again? Like that?